I don't know what it's called in Jos. I don't know what it's called in Jos, but we understand that these people get this waste from households, and what do? They just throw it in the landfill to make their work easy. Remember, I said it's a collective action. We should learn to segregate our waste from homes. We can have
So
different
what are
bins
you able to
with
do
labels on
about
it: paper, water, water sachets, and the general waste.
getting
Our
people
food waste we can use that for composting in our little gardens, in our backyard, in our environment, in our compounds. So if we can now, when we are trying to
Yes.
enlighten the community on waste management, it makes the work easy for this structure I'm talking about. So we have the government coming because they are the ones that make what waste management policies. In Enugu many years ago, we had the government arrest anybody that throws anything on the floor. You need to see how Enugu was clean. So, like I said, everybody has to put in effort. So the government can come in with working, making policies that are very effective. No littering, like today in Enugu, we had sanitation every last Saturday of the month. We don't go out till 10 a.m. Everybody cleans the environment. I don't know how true or how effective it is, but around the area we have people do their bits in their environment. So I'm still talking about the structure. These are the policies that has been working, right? And people were mindful of not buying biscuits and throwing it on the floor. Even individuals, persons, we are mindful of not littering the environment. These are what we are talking about: a perfect structure, an effective structure, a working structure. I traveled out and I saw how structures were working. I visited Japan for a week, and without ease, even children, everybody knew the right thing to do. You throw your dirt. If you it was everything was well labeled, and on that spot we have workers already taking out the waste and filling in new waste bins, so new waste bags also. So this is what we are talking about. When we have a working structure and effective policies, it will help us know why this shifts we have shifted, right? Okay, now we encourage us to continue doing it. I hope you're following me. All right, so moving ahead, I want to state the importance why we need to have this mind shift. Why do we need to have this perception that waste is not waste, but a resource? We have to understand that because it's very, very important, because we get to reduce our waste generation. It encourages a mindful consumption. Okay, what I'm getting now, is it not too much? Why don't I just get what I can consume? Then it will not lead to waste produce. Instead of buying so many things, unnecessary things you don't need at home, you can just buy the one you can use. Can everybody here agree with me that we are not being mindful of our purchase and how we consume the items we need at home? So it prioritizes quality over quantity. You just need 2 cup of milk. You get that instead of buying a whole carton that might end up being spoiled, and that's food waste. So we are now mindful of consumption. We're also mindful of what we are purchasing. Second reason, second, how do I put it? Another importance of having this shift as a person and also as a community is economic benefits. When we have this mind shift, we can now see the economic opportunities involved in waste prevention and repurposing. While I was saying that we should have a shift, and when we have a shift, it reflects on our attitude and our lifestyle, reducing what are the 3 R's? Recycling. When you now have that understanding, it's very easy for you to recycle. You pick up your pet bottles and identify a close by recycling bin around you and just donate it, or you get a token for that. So these are the ways our lifestyle will show that our minds have really shifted. We have a new perception on the matter of waste management. So economic benefits: if you recycle a broken chair, it's being used to produce a bucket. You see that the economic significance or the cost we will have in producing another bucket has reduced. It minimizes waste. So one of the importance of having this shift is the economic benefits we get to enjoy. Then community engagement. When communities understand the impact of their actions, their negative human actions on our planet, on this earth, they are now more likely to participate in recycling, like I
Their
just said,
actions, their
cleanup
negative
campaigns.
human
I
actions
remember
on
going
our
to one
planet.
of the major markets here in Enugu State, and we spoke to the market leaders, and what we were saying was not it was not entering their head. They just needed money. Give us money. Whatever you people are saying, we don't get it. So I went for an active citizen boot camp, and I asked the question like this: when you want to run a campaign, when you want to reach out to community and they are not really buying your idea, and one of the facilitators said I should just do an interesting simple slide where we can I can show the health benefits, or how do I put it, the impact of their activities in the market to them. When they see that their respiratory organs or every part of their body or the health issues they are facing is the reason for their inhuman actions in our environment, they will not understand what we are saying. So, community engagement, find easy ways to let these people know this thing we are doing is not good. We need to work together to make sure we enjoy clean cities, clean environment in our communities. Then another important is environmental conservation. Our perception has shifted. We can now better manage our resources. We can turn off the lights when we're not using them. And our action is what? Protecting biodiversity. When you trash your waste properly, when you dispose your waste properly and you segregate this waste, we won't get to see waste bags on our seas and our oceans and the little rivers we have here in Nigeria. That means we're protecting biodiversity and also cutting down of trees. Remember, human activities, negative human activities on our environment. I understand those woods are being used for something else that is beneficial to us, but we should understand that there are better ways. Clean cooking can be engaged in. So I know many NGOs are working on this. How do we get this to be better? How do we end cut down of trees? That's why many of us here engage in planting of trees. So we understand many has been cut down. Let's plant more. So these are the importance of having this mind shift and all these awareness webinars and everything we attend. So the environmental impact of improper waste disposal, we get to see that this improper waste disposal leads to air, water, soil pollution, and it harms our ecosystem and our biodiversity. When we don't dispose our waste well, where do you think it ends? In the landfill. I know the landfill where we dispose waste in Enugu, people live around those areas, and the air is already polluted. So what imagine what's happening to their respiratory
Alright
organ.
then, alright.
So when we don't keep our environment clean, when we don't dispose well, when these waste are not properly managed by the authorities in charge, people's health are at risk. Toxic chemicals are contaminate our drinking water. You think it ends in the landfills? No, there's a way it gets to the ground and it gets to our water. And at the end, we see ourselves drinking the water and making good use of them. All these wastes and decomposing waste also, they emit, what do we call it? Greenhouse gases like methane. And we know how dangerous methane can be in our body. So these are the environmental impact of us not managing our waste well. Are we still together? The comment section is, it's somehow nothing is happening there. So I just hope I'm making sense. Then the social impact, we have health risks. Funny enough, health is actually everywhere. Health matters. It can we understand when the air is not clean. So when we are being exposed to improper wastes, improper disposal waste, it leads to, like I said earlier, respiratory system problems, and we also have skin irritations and waterborne diseases like cholera, typhoid. And do you know what? We have children below 5 years. They are more vulnerable. These are the ones that little thing now they are falling sick. So the social impact is our communities are not safe. The local community, the local areas, vulnerable communities here are not safe. Even we in the cities, even though we in the cities, we can have ways to take care of ourselves. We know when the water is not clean and we have other ways. We can take table water. Those people in the vulnerable communities, can they afford to buy table waters? So one of the social impacts is open dumps is a breeding ground for mosquitoes and rodents. And you know what? When you have mosquitoes in our area, it leads to malaria. So these are the social impacts. We are fighting for how everybody can live well. I've forgotten the SDG, good health and well-being. How do we enjoy good health and well-being when we can't take care of our waste and dispose our waste well? So it also affects our health. Then lastly, it's an economic burden. How do we now manage this waste? Money that was supposed to, be pushed into free education, free donation of pads and the rest. The economy is being burdened with how do we dispose of this waste. That's why they just dig the ground and just drop this waste and they go away. It's a burden for them. Social inequality, marginalized groups are more affected. Our women and children are more affected, and they often bear the brunt. They are the ones that if it just comes now, it affects them more. And I'll stop with this last point: social stigmatization. When you're living in an area where the whole dirt in your street is behind your house, you'll be embarrassed to invite your friends to come over. And there's nothing you can say because that's what is saving the whole community, the whole street. So you don't feel comfortable inviting your friends over. And you can even hide whenever you see them passing. So these are the social impacts. And also I would like to state some key strategies for this shift. How do we do this thing? This thing we are talking about, how do we go ahead with it? We have to talk about awareness and education. We just have to continue talking. I know how many times we've visited the market, and as we go, they have they are still whatever is in their head is there. So this is why we keep talking, you keep talking to them, showing them the problems. Look at why we're doing this. We're not doing it for fun. Is anyone following? Okay, so awareness and education, local communities, community schools with large population. My organization where I work, EcoCyclers, we donated waste bin to a community school, a government school, and you can imagine the tokens they receive every week when we go to offtake these wastes. It's a bin, like the bin I explained earlier, but this one was made with metal. So we keep the children keep plastic, and in the middle they keep pure water sachets. Every week we go to offtake and they get like 2,000, above 2,005 every week. You can imagine how useful the money they get, the token they get, can help solve other problems in their environment, even in school, while also taking care of their environment. So you should come up with awareness in schools, go to local communities, people's home. You can also use your social media, write something with a picture, and just try to spread the word. Awareness and education. Secondly, behavior incentive. Oh, these people have always been bringing recyclables to me. Okay, take this for call card, or a little affordable gifts you can give people to encourage them that, okay, oh, thank you for seeing waste as money. Should I say money? Thank you for seeing the usefulness of this waste. And you give them a token, incentives. I'll just like to end with, we cannot stop talking. I know it's not easy for people's understanding, people's mindsets they have had since they were children to change. Me, I also grew up with having my mom, whenever it's raining, she throws the dead, she gathers them, and it flows with the water, not knowing I believe she doesn't know the aftermath of her actions. So we will need to keep talking. We will need to keep talking to people. It's a collective effort. NGOs will not do it alone. We won't have our government do it alone. Private sector, even the biochemistry study community, you cannot do it alone. Aside having these shifts now, we need to spread the word. I don't know if I'm missing out on everything, but I think this is where I have to stop now. Thank you very much.
Hi, thank you so much. Can everyone hear me? Okay, so our next speaker is Mr. Agwaza Paul, and I am so grateful, Miss Victoria, for such a passionate and enlightening session. I'm sure everyone here has learned so much. So, someone has his hand up, and we won't be taking questions for now. until after the session. So you can just write down your question or reserve it. Our next speaker is Mr. Agwazapo, and I'll be telling you about who he is and what he does. Sorry, just give me a moment. Mr. Agwaza Paul Kernan is a passionate biochemist and advocate for youth empowerment and societal progress. He graduated with first class honors in biochemistry from the University of Jos, Nigeria, with a firm belief that meaningful youth engagement through quality education and awareness is essential for building a progressive society. Agwaza Paul Kernan is actively involved in mentoring undergraduate students. He aims to reorient their values, emphasizing education as a tool for creating solutions rather than merely earning a living. His leadership initiative hopes to inspire young people to become change agents within their communities. As a passionate biochemist, Agwaza Paul Kernan is driven by a desire to leverage the knowledge gained from biochemistry to tackle pressing health and environmental challenges. So I'll be giving the mic over to Mr. Kernan Agwaza now.
Okay, thank you very much, biochemistry study community. Can everyone hear me? Please, if you can hear me, let me know. Jimka.
Yes, we can hear you. Can everyone else hear him?
Okay,
Okay.
loud and clear. Yes,
Yes,
but
loud
then
and
you may
clear.
notice that my camera is not on. Did you get that?
Yes, your camera is not on. Do you plan to turn it
Yeah, it's
on?
it's 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 not on because there is a power outage here, and I just got back home from work not long ago. So I doubt if you'll be able to see with my little light. Let me see. Can you see me?
Yes, we can see you now, but we can just see a part of your face.
Just a part, right?
Yes.
Okay, so that's what I was saying. The there's power outage here, so it's dark actually. So
So sorry about that.
yeah, that's why I thought there's no need for the camera since you can't really see me.
Okay, we can see you much better now.
I know, right? I'm using my phone, so that's why. But I guess it's better now, right?
Yes, it is.
Okay, it's alright. So once again, I want to thank the conveners of this program a lot for the opportunity to be here. And for the first speaker, Victoria, thank you so much for the session you took. And I'll actually be starting off by grabbing some of the things she had started with. I joined the meeting initially, but then I had network failure, and hence I had to go off for a while. So I didn't get the other part, but I think I got a little things from when she started off that we actually need to have a shift of mindset from seeing waste as waste in quote as it is as not useful, but as um, resources that we could actually tap wealth from. So to change our mindsets to seeing waste as something we can actually make wealth from. Okay, so I will be speaking on effective waste management strategies for biochemical solutions for effective waste management, and then the focus is effective waste management strategies for university campuses, biochemical approaches, and solutions. So just to kind of reiterate what Victoria had already said, we just have to, change our mindsets. This is a student community, and it's actually a community that seeks to, you know, um, help us to be able to be problem solvers. You understand? To be problem solvers. Now, what I always tell young people when we get to converse is that if we really want our country, our nation, our society to move forward, or if we really want to change the narrative, then we ought to see education more than just a means, to earn a living, but then to see the reason why we are in school as an avenue for us to get the knowledge that is necessary for us to be able to solve problems. That is the only way that uh, you and I can change the narrative of this Nigeria that we are in. Because if we are not thinking of using our degrees, the programs that we are enrolled in to solve problems at the end of the day, then I think the whole essence of going to school is actually defeated. And I think the people that brought about this idea of schooling may actually be rolling in their graves or wherever they are now, because that is the essence for which you are in school. So the mindset should be that at the end of your program, or even before you'd finish your program, it doesn't have to be in the sciences. The question should be, what problem am I going to solve at the end of this? And that is why you're going to school, and that is when our societies will become a better place. Okay, so I'll start on this foot. What is waste? Okay, so waste could actually be seen as unwanted, unusable materials. Okay, that is something that is discarded after primary use, or is worthless or defective. In general terms, that is what we can see waste as. But then, like I said, I'm going to be picking some things from Victoria's session. Now, she says that we ought um, to see waste as a means to create wealth. Okay. Now, according to Asa Doron, a Don from Harvard University, that what constitutes waste, okay, depends on the eye of the beholder. So what may appear to be waste to you, to another person, is not actually waste. Yes. So we need to think we can take from this. So what you may think is waste, to another person is seeing that as a means to create wealth, right? Now, waste management refers to processes or actions that are required to manage waste, including processes such as collection, transport, sorting, treatment, and then disposal, as well as monitoring and then regulation and regulating waste laws. It's quite unfortunate that when you go to some of our campuses, the way waste is disposed, you'd wonder if it's an intellectual environment. Give example, my alma mater, University of Jos. It's not like not proud of my alma mater or something, but the fact is that they if you want to solve a problem, then you have to spill out the truth first. Tell yourself the truth. That is when you go on to finding solutions to that problem. So you see the way waste is being disposed of in environments that are meant to be sort of a model to the bigger society. It's really disheartening, which makes this webinar, so to say, or this topic very, very timely. Waste management, for us to to come up with or educate ourselves or enlighten ourselves about the best practices, to handle waste in the university community. So my part is actually focusing on biochemical solutions and then approaches on how we can go about managing waste in our campuses. So I would dwell more on that. So now we, in considering biochemical approaches to waste management, it is only proper that we recognize that there is knowledge from a certain field, let me put it that way, that comes to play when you're looking at biochemical approaches to waste management, and that is biochemistry. That is biochemistry. And what is, someone may ask what biochemistry is. So biochemistry is simply the study of chemical substances and processes that occur in living organisms, such as plants, animals, microorganisms, and such, and then the changes that they undergo during development and life. I know the study of biochemistry involves a whole lot. It's a discipline that incorporates a lot of other sciences like chemistry, biology, physics. And as a biochemist, or through your study of biochemistry, you tend to learn a lot of principles, processes and stuff. And it is these principles that are applied, in waste management. And hence, we are going to be looking at some of these biochemical principles that are involved in waste management. So, for want of time, would actually look at, briefly brush through like three, which is biodegradation, enzymatic action, and then bioconversion. And as we go on with the this session, you discover that they're actually very, very related, So one actually overlaps into the other. So none is kind of like standing alone, but we discover that one or two overlap, stuff like that. Now, what is biodegradation? Now, to degrade, that it is to cut down or to break down, a larger chunk into smaller pieces. And then the bio there, of course, refers to life. So biodegradation is the breakdown of organic matter. We talk of organic matter, it means substances or materials that have origin from living things, which could be plants, animals, or living things. So the breakdown of organic matter using by using microorganisms such as bacteria and fungi. So it's generally a natural process, and then it differentiates it from what you call composting. Now, I believe a lot of us here are done agricultural science. Okay, so you know what composting is. It's just a way of making our natural fertilizer, so to say, materials. So biodegradation actually uses microorganisms to be able to degrade or to be able to break down waste, into less harmful, substances. And then the fact is that for um, some of these waste, things we consider waste, actually tend to be feed for microorganisms. So as they carry out their own biological processes, so to say, they tend to convert this waste into useful products. So to them, what their activity on this waste, what they tend to get, or what they tend to produce from this waste, to them it may also be waste. Okay, so like I said earlier, you know what the term waste is actually in the eyes of the beholder. So what may considering as waste to another person may actually be useful to create wealth. So they act on this waste. So to them, what they are giving off is waste, but then to us, to an extent, it's no longer waste, but then it's useful. So when you use microorganisms, which are living things, to convert waste, into useful product or less harmful product, that is bio degradation. Then you have enzymatic action. Now, enzymes, for those in the field of biochemistry, you know that enzymes are actually a certain class of proteins that help to catalyze biological or catalyze reactions in living systems. So they're actually proteins that have be folded into a particular structure with an active site that are able to act on certain other substances